the living tissues of the knee joints. I constantly, round the clock, flow pour a giant, titanic divine life force. All the living tissues of the knees are dramatically activated. In all the structures of the knee joints, I pour a life-giving, divine newborn life, which revives the newborn integrity of all the structures of the knee joints. Newborn life completely revives the newborn integrity of cartilage discs of the knee joints. And I pour a holy divine healing into the cartilage discs of the knee joints in a continuous stream. Holy divine healing fills all living cells, all living tissues, all the microstructures of the cartilage discs. Holy divine healing reborn the cartilage discs, whole newborn, divinely elastic, thick, healthy. Holy divine healing completely revives the great newborn young thickness of the cartilage discs of the knees. Rejuvenate their large newborn young thickness, are born stronger, thicker, healthier. Cartilage discs are becoming thicker, stronger, healthier. Newborn young, healthy joint split of the knees rejuvenate their large newborn young size, revive newborn young, free mobility in the knees. In all the brain centers that control the knee joints, I pour a life-giving, divine newborn youth. Newborn youth fills all the brain centers that control the knee joints. Brain control centers of the knee joints physiologically sharply increase, rejuvenate their newborn young integrity, its newborn young structure, possessing a giant, titanic physiological power. In all the nerves going from the brain to the knees, I pour a gigantic divine force. I fill all the nerves in my knees with holy divine steel. All the nerves going from the spinal brain to the knees divinely straighten, become healthier, stronger, born still strong, divinely strong. In the knee joints, all nerves are reborn, still healthy, strong. The knees are filled with newborn mobility. The still healthy, strong nerves of newborn knees are calm as in childhood. The newborn joints are freely movable. The newborn knee joints are unbreakable, healthy, freely movable as in childhood. I can quickly go down the stairs. I can quickly climb the stairs. The newborn knee joints are strong, healthy, freely movable. billions of nerve cells of the brain controlling the knee joints. With the brightness of lightning, remember the newborn, young, divinely healthy structure. The spinal brain, day and night, round the clock, completely revives all the newborn structures of the knees. All structures of the knees rejuvenate their newborn young integrity. The articular cartilage discs of the knees are reborn as a newborn young, thick, elastic, perfectly smooth. The joint surfaces of the knees born as newborn, young, perfectly smooth, healthy, strong. In the knee joints, newborn free, silent mobility is completely revived. All structures of the knees rejuvenate their newborn integrity. All living tissues, all structures of the knees rejuvenate newborn wholeness. Cartilage discs, joint backs, joint ligaments rejuvenate their newborn young structure, are all born divinely healthy, strong, resistant. And I pour a giant, titanic physiological force into all living tissues of the knees with a constant, round-the-clock flow. I fill all the living tissues with a life-giving, divine newborn youth. The knee joints revive their newborn young, divinely healthy structure. Cartilage discs revive their newborn young thickness, rejuvenate perfectly smooth, healthy surface of the cartilage discs. All joint surfaces of the knees rejuvenate their ideal smoothness, are born smooth, polished, perfectly healthy. In the knee joints, absolutely silent, free mobility is revived. In the knee joints, the newborn, young, silent, unhurt free mobility is completely revived. In all the joint ligaments, I pour a life-giving, divine newborn youth. Newborn youth fills all living cells, all living tissues of the joint ligaments, revive their newborn young internal structure. All joint ligaments of the knees are reborn, elastic, healthy, strong, indestructible. Joint ligaments are born every day, more and more flexible, strong, elastic, more and more durable. Mobility in the knees becomes easier, more free, more and more light. Newborn, divinely free, light, free mobility in the knees is revived. I can freely, quickly run down the stairs. The newborn knee joints are silent, inaudible, flexible. And I continue to pour a holy divine steel into all the nerves of the knees. I feel all the nerves of the knees along the entire length with holy divine steel. I pour the holy divine indestructible fortress into all the nerves going from the spinal cord to the knees, pour the holy, divine, indestructible fortress, pour in gigantic divine force. All brain centers, all nerve plexus in the brain, all the nerve plexus that control the knee joints, revive their newborn integrity, rejuvenate their newborn young structure. The brain centers that control the knees physiologically powerfully built. The entire neurobrain apparatus of the knees completely revives its newborn young integrity, completely revives its newborn young structure, revives its newborn young giant physiological force. The nerve brain apparatus of the knees constantly revives its newborn young structure, its gigantic titanic physiological force. The entire neurobrain apparatus of the knee joints, day and night, constantly, continuously, completely revives the newborn young, 15-year-old structures of the knees. I constantly try to make a great willful effort with all the forces of reason, with titanic divine power, to believe that the knee joints completely rejuvenate their newborn integrity, completely revive their newborn young, divinely healthy structure. I constantly, continuously make a strong-willed effort to fill my knees with divine health, newborn youth, as in teenage years. I try to pour a gigantic divine power into all the brain centers that control endocrine system, all the glands of internal secretion. I try constantly to straighten the brain mechanism that control the entire endocrine system, all the glands of internal secretion. I attempt to revive the newborn, young structure of all the brain centers that run the endocrine system. The spinal brain continuously activating, physiologically straightening endocrine system. All billions of nerve cells of the spinal brain continuously rejuvenating their newborn young structure, which has a giant titanic physiological force. All nerve cells that control the endocrine system continuously reviving their active, full-fledged, newborn young biochemical composition, constantly rejuvenating their structures, huge amounts of all trace elements. The endocrine system continuously straightening. Constantly straightening brain centers of endocrine system management with increasing energy activate, physiologically straightening all glands of internal secretion. And I try to pour a titanic physiological force into all living tissues of the glands of internal secretion. The entire neurobrain apparatus of the endocrine system continuously straighten, revive its newborn young structure, which has a giant physiological force. The spinal brain constantly, continuously activating, straightening the endocrine system. The spinal brain constantly, continuously activating, straightening all the billions of nerve cells, activating with increasing energy, physiologically straightening all glands of internal secretion. And I try to pour a titanic physiological force in all living tissues of the glands, internal secretion, the entire neurobrain apparatus of endocrine system, continuously straightening, rejuvenates its newborn young structure, which has a giant physiological force. The spinal brain constantly, continuously activating, straightening the endocrine system. All the billions of nerve cells constantly remembering their newborn young structure, teenage young structure of all living tissues, of glands, of internal secretion. The entire endocrine system producing an anti-aging enzymes, rejuvenating hormones, rejuvenating enzymes, rejuvenating hormones. A constant stream like a river pour into all structures in all living tissues of the knee joints. Rejuvenating hormones constantly revive newborn young structure of the knee joints. Knees constantly round the clock reviving, rejuvenating their newborn young structure. The endocrine system producing more and more hormones that physiologically straightening the immune system. I pour gigantic, titanic divine power into all the brain centers that control the immune system. The entire neurobrain apparatus of the immune system, physiologically straightening, rejuvenates its newborn young structure, which has a giant titanic physiological force, titanic physiological energy, physiologically straightening the entire nervous system of the immune system. All billions of nerve cells of the spinal brain forming the immune system, constantly reviving, activating full-fledged biological composition which has a giant titanic physiological force. All billions of nerve cells of the spinal brain of immune system, with the brightness of lightning, constantly remember the newborn young structure of all the bone marrow in all bones, all lymph nodes, the entire lymphatic system, all liver structures. The spinal brain constantly, continuously with brightness of lightning remember the newborn, young, giant, energetic internal structures of the immune system. The spinal brain constantly, continuously, round the clock all year round rejuvenating the newborn young structure of all living tissues, of all immune system. A constant flow of health is pouring into all the brain centers that control the immune system with gigantic titanic physiological force. The spinal brain with a giant titanic divine energy constantly, continuously, completely revives the newborn young structures of all living cells, all living tissues of the immune system. The entire immune system completely revives its newborn young structure. And the gigantic titanic physiological force pour into the living tissues of the immune system, straightening the nerves, brain apparatus of the immune system. The brain with gigantic titanic energy completely revives newborn young energy of the entire immune system. millions of times stronger immune system heals all the bones of the knee joints with titanic physiological energy. The body producing more and more solvent, which completely heals the knee joints. All the bones of the knee joints constantly rejuvenate their newborn young form, its smooth surface. The immune system with titanic physiological energy constantly healing the knees. The immune system constantly fully revives newborn youth of all the bones of the knees and constantly revives the newborn young smooth surface of all the knee joints. The knees constantly completely rejuvenate their newborn young structure. The ever-increased immune system with titanic divine physiological energy completely revives the newborn young form, the newborn young smooth surface of all the bones of the knee joints. And I tried to pour a giant titanic divine physiological force into the entire nerves brain apparatus of the immune system. I tried to straighten the entire neurobrain apparatus that controls the immune system. The spinal brain activates, straightening the immune system, revives the newborn young structures of all living tissues of the immune system. I must constantly make a great willful efforts to believe with all the forces of reason that the knee joints constantly, continuously reviving their newborn young structures, to believe that all structures of the knee joints constantly, completely revive their newborn integrity. I must constantly believe with titanic divine power that the knee joints are constantly reviving their newborn young structure, reviving their divinely free, newborn full mobility. I have to believe in my divinely healthy, newborn young knee joints. I have a firm intention to continuously revive the newborn young structures of the knees. I am constantly straightening my intention to revive the newborn young structures of the knees. This intention becomes stronger, more and more strong, subjugates all my thoughts, all feelings, all sensations. My intention continuously amplifies, subordinate to all physiological processes in the body. Mobilize all the limitless possibilities of my body for the constant total revival of the newborn young, healthy knee joints. I have to believe in the newborn young structures of the knee joints with all the forces of mind. I must, with the titanic divine power, believe that I can run extremely fast for hours, no end, in the knee joints, a newborn, young, enduring, lasting, unbreakable calm. I can run up and down the stairs in the knee joints, newborn strong, healthy, pleasant calm. I try to pour a life-giving divine youth into the entire neurobrain apparatus of the knee joints with a constant stream, possessing a titanic, divine vitality. I try to pour a giant titanic physiological force into all living cells, in all living tissues, in all structures of the knees. All the living cells, all living tissues, all structures of the knee joints are filled with a giant titanic physiological force. All structures of the knee joints constantly revive their newborn wholeness. Cartilage disc of the knee joints constantly revive their new, large, newborn young, healthy thickness. The knee joints constantly revive the newborn full, divine free mobility, silent, inaudible free mobility. The immune system continuously revives the ideal smooth surface of the knees. The immune system constantly rejuvenates a silent, unheard, absolutely free mobility of the knee joints. The immune system continuously rejuvenates newborn young structures of all knee structures. I myself, with titanic divine power, believe in the constant, continuous rebirth of the newborn young, divinely healthy, perfectly correct structure of the knee joints. I continuously make a huge, gigantic willful effort to constantly believe in my newborn young, divinely healthy knee joints. I go, I fly as a bird with the wings, my legs are light as a feather, the steps are wide and light. All my newborn young, youthful, strong body is light as a feather. I go, I fly as a bird on its wings, I feel my physical strength brightly. I must always know with the brightness of lightning and feel myself to be at the beginning of life. At the beginning of life, I must see myself with the brightness of lightning in the future and in 100 years and in 500 years and beyond, in the prime years, a healthy, strong, developing, improving person. I must constantly straighten my intention to be in the prime of my young powers in 100 years, in 300 years, and in 1,000 years and beyond. I must constantly reinforce my intention to live a newborn, young, divinely healthy, joyful life. For the next 1,000 years, my whole body must constantly, completely revive its newborn young structure. I have to fully understand that I live a divine life. I live according to the divine law. The older I get, the healthier, the more beautiful, the more perfect I become. All people's talk about shortness of human life has nothing to do with me. I firmly know as a valid fact that all this conversation have nothing to do with me. I live a divine life. I live according to the divine law. The older I get, the healthier, the more beautiful, the more perfect I become. I am constantly improving my body. I am constantly reviving my newborn young, cheerful, playful, carefree, untouched soul. I constantly fill myself with the light, divine joy of life. Every day I live more cheerfully, more happily. I am constantly developing all my abilities. I try with the brightness of lightning to see myself younger, more and more capable, more and more talented, more and more brilliant, more developed, more and more perfect young person. I try constantly improve my body, improve all the systems of the body, improve all internal organs. I try to infuse a gigantic, titanic divine life force into all living cells, into all living tissues of my body. Every day I have to be born a newborn young person, more energetic, faster, physically stronger. My newborn young, divinely beautiful appearance rejuvenate all the time. I always see with the brightness of lightning my strong newborn young figure, my strong newborn young physique, my light, flexible, slender figure. I constantly, with the brightness of lightning, feel like I am a healthy, strong young person. My health should be constantly enhanced. My resilience constantly increased. Among all the words of hurricanes and storms, I must stand steadfastly like a rock about which all opposing forces lament. I must constantly pour a gigantic, titanic divine power into the brain centers of the will. I must always feel with the brightness of lightning my ability to titanic, willful efforts. I have to be stronger, more determined, more confident. I have to constantly increase my self-belief. I have to believe in myself as a person who lives a divine life according to the divine law. The older I am, the younger, the more beautiful I become. I have to constantly try to feel at the beginning of life. At the beginning of life, I must see with the brightness of lightning myself in the future, and in 500 years, and in 1,000 years, and further, in the prime of young forces, more and more able, more and more talented, ever more firmly healthy, more and more divinely beautiful young person.